talk English.
Imagine for a second that you are sitting in a high-stakes business meeting. You know the kind.
Oh, yeah. The stressful ones.
Exactly. You've spent your entire weekend preparing the data.
The classic weekend cram session.
Right. You have memorized every single cell in that Q3 budget spreadsheet.
You're completely locked in.
You are, and you are finally ready to discuss the international marketing strategy. But suddenly, a colleague looks across the table, taps their pen, and says, "Well, the ball's in your court."
Oh.
Yeah. And before you can even process that, another person chimes in, "Yeah, let's not punt on this. We need momentum."
And then the manager jumps in, right?
Yes. Your manager nods, leans back, and adds, "Look, if we get this right, it's a slam dunk."
Which is just, totally overwhelming.
It really is. Now, you are sitting there looking around the room. No one is wearing a jersey.
Just business casual?
Right. No one is sweating on a court, yet you suddenly feel like you need this deep, tactical understanding of tennis, football, baseball, and basketball.
Just to follow the agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Just to follow a simple agenda about software sales, it is completely disorienting.
It really is.
Honestly, it can make you feel like you are entirely out of loop.
It really is a bizarre phenomenon when you step back and look at it.
Yeah.
Because you could have absolute textbook perfection in your vocabulary.
Right. Flawless grammar.
Flawless grammar, impeccable pronunciation. But the actual operational meaning of the conversation is hidden.
Hidden behind this massive wall of athletic references.
Exactly. It feels like everyone else was handed a secret vocabulary list during onboarding.
And you somehow never received it.
Right. You're left trying to translate the rules of a game you aren't even playing into actionable business strategy.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because that feeling of disorientation is exactly what we're going to dismantle today.
I love that.
The mission for this deep dive is to decode a stack of 12 highly specific American sports phrases.
The ones that have completely infiltrated everyday, casual, and professional English.
Right. We are going to look at the literal origins. But more importantly, we are going to break down the figurative meaning.
The hidden psychological triggers.
Yes, and the subtle tones behind these words.
And we should clarify right up front why this matters for you, the listener.
Oh, definitely.
Because you do not need to watch a single sports game to find immense value here.
Not at all.
You don't need to know the complex rules of basketball or, what a quarterback actually does on a Sunday.
Right. By the end of this deep dive, you are going to possess a secret decoder ring.
A ring to understand the hidden metaphors of American business and culture.
Exactly. Mastering these specific phrases signals a level of fluency that goes way beyond standard textbook English.
It shows that you understand the cultural heartbeat.
Yeah.
And, the psychological undercurrents driving the language.
But before we step onto the field, or the court, or the pitch,
Whichever surface we're playing on.
right, we have to answer the overarching cultural why.
Okay, lay it on me.
Why do these phrases dominate professional English? I mean, why does an accountant in Ohio use aggressive gridiron metaphors to talk about standard corporate tax compliance?
What's fascinating here is the sheer cultural overlap between the stadium and the boardroom.
Oh, okay, tell me more about that.
Well, sports are central to American identity, particularly football, basketball, and baseball.
Right, the big three.
But corporate culture borrows this language so heavily because both arenas rely on the exact same underlying concepts.
Like what?
They are both built on intense competition, the mobilization of teams, the pursuit of measurable goals, and high-stakes strategy.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, when an executive speaks, they want to evoke the passion and the definitive outcomes of a championship game.
Rather than the dry reality of quarterly earnings.
Exactly.
So it's essentially about register, right?
Yeah.
The level of formality you use in a given situation. If you just use strict corporate speak, you sound like a robot.
You really do. Using these phrases is a powerful social signal.
It bridges the gap.
Right, between formal, stiff corporate jargon and overly casual conversation.
So it tells everyone in the room, I speak the language of how we operate here.
I am part of the tribe.
Yeah.
Exactly. It softens demands and masks corporate anxiety behind the familiar, comfortable veil of a game.
Well, let's get right into the thick of it with American football.
The ultimate game of territorial strategy.
It really is, and the first phrase in our stack is move the goalposts.
Oh, a classic.
The literal meaning is highly visual. It's the idea of picking up the giant physical goal structure on the field.
Right, the actual heavy metal goalposts.
Exactly, and physically dragging it to a new location while the game is still happening.
Which is just crazy to picture. Figuratively, the friction happens when someone changes the rules or expectations.
Usually after a project or process has already started.
Right, and usually doing so entirely unfairly.
Yes.
Imagine you're running toward the finish line, exhausting all your energy.
And just as you get within a few feet,
Someone picks the line up and moves it 50 yards further away.
ugh, it's not just a change in plans, it's a feeling of betrayal.
It is intensely frustrating.
You hear it used constantly when dealing with unpredictable management or difficult, demanding clients.
Oh yeah, like they keep moving the goalposts.
Every time we meet a deadline, they add a new, unstated requirement.
And the tone is almost exclusively negative and accusatory.
Very accusatory.
It implies a deep frustration with inconsistency. You aren't just politely stating that the parameters changed.
We were accusing the other party of manipulating the game to make it intentionally harder for you to win.
Right. It damages morale because it removes the predictability that employees need to feel successful.
And speaking of morale, what happens when the game is over and someone wants to critique how you played it?
Oh boy.
That brings up the concept of the Monday morning quarterback.
To understand the psychology of this one, consider the structure of the sport itself.
Okay.
The quarterback is the primary decision maker, right?
Yep.
They're the play caller, operating in the violent, chaotic heat of the moment.
Getting tackled, yeah.
And crucially, professional games are primarily played on Sunday.
Right. So by Monday morning, the dust has settled.
The result is permanently in the history books.
So by Monday, anyone with a pulse can look at the footage and say, oh, he should have thrown it to the left.
Exactly. The pressure is entirely gone.
Wow.
It is the ultimate embodiment of hindsight bias. A Monday morning quarterback is an armchair expert.
Someone who criticizes decisions after the fact.
When the outcome is already known and the risk is zero.
It perfectly captures that specific, grating annoyance of someone claiming they knew the right answer only after the test was graded.
You see this in postmortem meetings all the time.
Oh, definitely. A project fails, and suddenly a colleague from a totally different department.
Who wasn't involved in the late-night panic at all.
Exactly. They're pointing out all the obvious flaws in your strategy.
And you would defensively say, it's really easy to be a Monday morning quarterback, but you weren't there when the servers crashed and we had to make a call.
It's a phrase used to defend the people who actually take risks from the people who just observe them.
Very well said.
But what if someone is too afraid to take that risk in the first place? What if they just refuse to make a call?
That leads us to punt on it.
Right. Literally, a punt is a kick used to surrender possession of the ball to the other team.
And figuratively, in the office, it means giving up on making a decision or passing the responsibility down the road.
Like, we don't have all the data, so let's just punt on this until next quarter.
Exactly.
But wait, I have to push back on this one.
Okay, let's hear it.
In actual American football, a punt is often a highly strategic, incredibly smart move.
It is.
Like, if you are trapped deep in your own territory, you punt the ball far away to gain a better field position for your defense.
Right. It's playing the long game.
It's sacrificing a battle to win the war. But in these business examples from our sources, it seems almost universally negative.
Yeah.
Does punting in the office just mean avoiding the issue? Because that feels like it betrays the actual intelligence of the sport.
That is a brilliant observation, and it highlights how language evolves completely independently of its origin.
Okay, so I'm onto something.
You are. In the sport, yes, a punt can be a masterstroke of tactical patience. However, in the corporate register, punting loses almost all of its strategic nobility.
So it's just bad.
It suggests avoidance, deferment, or a sheer failure of leadership to take decisive action.
Wow, so if a committee punts a difficult budget cutback to the board,
They aren't executing a clever maneuver, they're just washing their hands of a painful choice.
they are just afraid of the consequences.
Precisely.
So if football phrases in business are all about territorial strategy, avoiding decisions, and dealing with moving targets, let's transition.
Yes, let's look at a sport that focuses heavily on individual responsibility.
And meticulous, slow burn preparation. Let's look at baseball. America's pastime in the boardroom.
Baseball is structurally entirely different from football. And the resulting vocabulary reflects that shift.
How so?
It's much less about a cohesive unit moving together and much more about the isolated individual.
Right, facing immense pressure while the rest of the team just watches.
The ultimate example of that isolation is our first baseball phrase, step up to the plate.
The literal image is so striking.
It is. The batter leaves the safety of the dugout, walks up to home plate completely alone, and faces the pitcher.
And everyone in the stadium is staring at them.
Figuratively, it translates to taking responsibility when it really matters.
It means volunteering for the difficult task when everyone else is looking down at their shoes.
Like, if your department is facing a massive crisis and someone needs to work the holiday weekend to rebuild a corrupted database,
You might hear, nobody wanted to touch that mess, but Sarah really stepped up to the plate.
exactly. And unlike moving the goalposts or punting, stepping up to the plate is universally positive.
It implies genuine courage.
It means that when the pressure was on, you were willing to be counted on. You didn't hide in the dugout.
But stepping up to the plate doesn't guarantee things will go smoothly, does it?
Not at all. Sometimes, right as you are preparing for the pitch, something comes out of left field.
Literally, left field is the vast area far to the left of the batter. But why does that equate to something surprising?
There are a few historical theories, but the most compelling one for our purposes is simply the geography of the game.
Okay.
A throw coming all the way from the deep corner of left field to home plate is a long, unexpected trajectory.
It comes from a blind spot.
Yes. So figuratively, it means a comment, an event, or a demand that is strange, completely unexpected, and often jarring.
You hear this constantly in brainstorming sessions or performance reviews.
Like, his decision to resign yesterday seemed totally out of left field. He just got a promotion.
Or, I wasn't expecting the client to ask about our environmental policies. That question came completely out of left field.
This phrase actually serves as a masterclass in how language teaches itself if you are actively listening.
Ooh, I like that.
This ties beautifully into the concept of context clues.
Right. Yeah.
Even if you have absolutely zero idea what left field refers to, or have never seen a baseball diamond.
You just look at the structure of the sentence.
Exactly. I wasn't expecting that it was really out of left field.
The first half of the sentence hands you the definition of the idiom on a silver platter.
You can deduce the meaning without ever opening a dictionary just by observing the speaker's reaction.
That is such a reassuring tool. You don't need to memorize a sports encyclopedia.
Nope.
You just need to listen to the emotional reaction of the person speaking. Okay, let's look at one more baseball phrase.
One which is all about obsessive preparation.
Cover all your bases.
In the physical game, covering the bases means ensuring a defensive player is physically standing at all four bases.
So the opposing team cannot advance and score.
Right. There are no gaps in the defense.
So figuratively, it means preparing for all possible situations and leaving nothing to chance.
It's about being incredibly, sometimes painfully, thorough.
Before a massive pitch to a skeptical client, your director might say, make sure you cover all your bases before we walk in there.
They want you to anticipate every single objection
You have backup slides for every financial question.
and basically ensure there are no holes in your argument.
And we absolutely must introduce a highly common variation of this.
Oh, the lifeblood of modern corporate communication.
Touch base.
Yes. It stems from the same origin of a runner having to physically make contact with the base.
But in business, it means to make brief, informal contact to check in before taking an action.
Let me touch base with my manager before I sign off on this.
I hear that 10 times a day.
It acts as a brilliant psychological safety net for middle management.
It's defensive language disguised as collaboration.
Exactly. Saying, I need to touch base is a soft, non-committal way to say you refuse to make a decision until you ensure someone else shares the liability.
Baseball gives us all this rich language for slow preparation and cautious checking in.
But business isn't always slow burn preparation.
No, it's not. Sometimes you don't have time to touch base. You need rapid, undeniable action.
Which pulls us perfectly into the fast break of basketball.
And some broader, general sporting terms that denote high-impact moments.
The pace and the stakes definitely shift here.
Let's start with a phrase that came up in our very first scenario at the top of the show. Balls in your court.
Originating from tennis or basketball, it literally means the ball is physically sitting on your side of the net.
Or in your team's possession.
Right. The game cannot proceed until you interact with it.
Figuratively, it means it is now entirely your responsibility to take the next step.
I sent the revised contract over on Tuesday. Ball's in their court.
The tone here is a fascinating balancing act. It is polite, but it is an immovable boundary.
It shifts the responsibility without sounding overly aggressive.
You aren't typing in all caps. You need to reply to my email right now.
You are simply stating a factual reality about the workflow.
The process is officially paused,
Yeah.
and I am incapable of doing anything else until you take action.
It's an elegant way to pass the pressure back to the other person while maintaining a professional smile.
But when that person finally does act, sometimes you want an outcome that is completely undisputed.
Enter the slam dunk.
Literally, this is a basketball player jumping forcefully above the rim and aggressively shoving the ball down through the hoop.
It isn't a graceful jump shot that might bounce off the rim.
No, it is explosive, violent, and definitive.
Figuratively, a slam dunk is an obvious success, or a decision that requires absolutely no further debate.
When an executive calls a merger a slam dunk, they are trying to pacify anxiety.
Because business culture absolutely despises rest.
Right. The phrase slam dunk is used to project total certainty and authority. It promises a guaranteed win.
Moving to some broader sports phrases that cross over multiple games, we run into the game changer.
This is undoubtedly one of the most diluted and overused business phrases in existence today.
It really is. Originally, a game changer was something that completely revolutionized the landscape.
Think of the introduction of the forward pass in early football.
It completely altered how the sport was played.
Right, a genuine paradigm shift. The invention of the smartphone was a game changer for personal computing.
But now you hear it used for the most mundane things.
Oh, the new espresso machine in the break room is a total game changer.
It has completely lost its gravity.
It has become a generic placeholder for anything vaguely positive or mildly helpful.
And then we have the phrase that nobody wants applied to them.
The ultimate moment of vulnerability. Drop the ball.
Literally, failing to catch or hold on to a ball during a crucial play.
Figuratively, making a painful mistake or failing to execute a task you were explicitly trusted to do.
Like I dropped the ball on that client follow-up. I totally forgot.
This is a direct admission of personal failure.
It is.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the vocabulary mechanics happening under the hood of dropping the ball are brilliant.
We are dealing with idioms and metaphors.
Right, an idiom is a phrase where the meaning differs entirely from the literal words, while a metaphor uses one thing to represent another.
And saying someone dropped the ball is a metaphor that provides an incredible psychological cushion.
It implies personal responsibility, yes, but it is so much softer than saying, I failed, or I ruined the account.
That is a vital linguistic distinction.
Yeah.
I dropped the ball allows an employee to accept blame while maintaining professional dignity.
How does it do that?
Because it softens the failure by framing it as a physical slip.
Ah, a momentary lapse in coordination.
Right, a victim of gravity, rather than a deep moral or intellectual flaw.
A dropped ball is just a mistake in the mechanics of the game. It's not a reflection of your character.
It allows people to apologize, take ownership, and immediately move on without entirely losing face.
You're giving yourself a little grace by blaming gravity. It's a brilliant defense mechanism encoded right into the language.
It really is.
Okay, we've covered taking responsibility by stepping up to the plate.
And we've covered failing by dropping the ball.
But what happens when a colleague drops that ball? How do we talk about supporting them?
The sources we are working from provide this brilliant, incredibly subtle distinction between two different phrases.
Phrases that sound very similar in passing but carry vastly different weights of commitment.
This is perhaps the most nuanced part of our deep dive. We are looking at a linguistic showdown between the culture of boxing and the culture of baseball.
Oh, I love a showdown. Let's start in the ring, boxing.
The phrase is, in someone's corner.
The literal origin is the actual physical corner of the boxing ring.
Right. Between rounds, the battered boxer sits on a stool, and their trainer and support team stand right there with them.
They are patching up cuts, giving them water, whispering tactical advice.
And assuring them they can survive the next round.
So figuratively, being in someone's corner translates to loyal, warm, ongoing emotional support.
You might pull a colleague aside who is struggling with a brutal project and say, no matter what management says, I'm in your corner.
It's comforting. It is a safe harbor.
Now, contrast that with our baseball phrase, go to bat for someone.
The literal origin, again, is stepping up to face the pitcher.
You grab the heavy wooden bat, you walk away from the safety of your team, and you stand at the plate.
Figuratively, it means strongly defending or advocating for someone.
And critically, doing so at a personal cost or risk to your own reputation.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we can really clarify this crucial distinction for the listener.
In your corner is a general state of emotional backing. It is safe.
You can be in someone's corner from the sidelines without ever risking your own job.
Going to bat, however, is a specific, active moment of loud public advocacy. It is an intervention.
Right, like intervening with human resources to save a colleague's job when layoffs are looming.
You wouldn't say your manager was in your corner?
You would say, my manager really went to bat for me when HR wanted to cut my position.
They risked their own political capital to save yours.
Your manager didn't just give you an encouraging smile and a bottle of water from the safety of the ropes.
No, they stepped into the line of fire on your behalf. They swung the bat for you.
Mastering this subtle difference, knowing when to reassure someone's anxiety by saying, I'm in your corner, versus promising dangerous active intervention by saying, I will go to bat for you, is what elevates your English from merely proficient to truly deeply fluent.
It demonstrates a high level of emotional intelligence encoded directly into your vocabulary choice.
So what does this all mean? We've just handed you the playbook.
We started with a claustrophobic meeting room full of confusing, seemingly random metaphors.
And we've broken down the psychological mechanics of how they actually operate.
Whether you're tracking context clues to figure out what bizarre thing just came out of left field,
Or understanding the defensive middle management register of touching base.
or simply trying to survive a Monday morning meeting without feeling completely lost.
These 12 phrases are the key to unlocking the hidden language of American professional culture.
And remember, the core lesson here. Demystifying the literal origins of these words entirely removes the fear of using them.
Once you can visualize the heavy basketball leaving the hands or the isolated batter walking to the plate under the stadium lights, the phrases make intuitive sense.
You don't need to be a professional athlete to step up to the plate.
You just need to understand the fundamental human elements of teamwork, strategy, vulnerability, and risk that these sports represent.
Because the Q3 budget spreadsheet really is just another kind of gridiron.
The stakes are different, there are fewer shoulder pads, but the human dynamics of avoiding decisions, shifting blame, and fighting for territory are exactly the same.
They truly are. And this raises an important question, a final provocative thought for you to ponder long after we wrap up today.
I'm ready.
Consider your own native language, if it isn't English, or think about the highly specific insular jargon of your own profession or personal hobbies.
Okay.
What entirely invisible games are you constantly referencing in your daily conversations?
Oh, wow.
And how entirely baffling or even terrifying might those everyday metaphors be to an outsider who is just sitting there trying to listen in and understand the rules?
That is such a great point. It really makes you rethink every single time you casually tell a new hire, let's touch base.
You're not just scheduling a quick coffee chat. You are invoking 100 years of baseball history wrapped up in a calendar invite.
We are going to leave you with that thought to chew on. Until next time, keep listening, keep decoding the language around you, and we will see you on the next deep dive.